Will the US dollar collapse in 2025? Some say America's mounting debt, global tensions, and shifting trade dynamics could bring the dollar down. Others argue it's still the world's safest currency. But what does all of this mean for your savings, investments, and financial future? In this video, we'll break it all down, so you can separate the fear from the facts and make smart money decisions. Welcome back to Asset Bloom, where we simplify money, investing, and the global economy so you can grow your wealth with confidence. Today, we're tackling one of the most heated debates in finance. Will the US dollar collapse in 2025? This isn't just a theoretical question. The strength of the US dollar impacts your mortgage, your retirement, the stock market, housing prices, and even the cost of groceries. Whether you're in the US, Canada, or the UK, the dollar's future directly affects you. So let's dive deep into what experts are saying. Look at the data and figure out what this really means for your money. Why people fear a dollar collapse. First, let's address why so many people are worried. The U.S. national debt has crossed $35 trillion in 2025, the highest in history. Rising interest rates have made it more expensive for the government to service that debt. Some countries are trying to move away from using the dollar in global trade, a process called de-dollarization. On top of this, global conflicts and supply chain issues make people wonder, is the dollar losing its dominance? Think of the dollar like the foundation of a house. If cracks appear, even small ones, homeowners start panicking, even if the structure is still solid. That's what's happening now with investors. What history tells us. This isn't the first time people predicted the dollar's collapse. In the 1970s, after the U.S. left the gold standard, experts warned the dollar would fail. During the 2008 financial crisis, many thought China would take over as the new global leader. But in both cases, the dollar actually strengthened in the long run because during global uncertainty, people rushed to safety, and that safety is still the U.S. dollar. Historically, the dollar has survived inflation waves, wars, and recessions. This doesn't mean it's invincible, but it reminds us that collapse predictions often exaggerate the risks. The global reserve currency status. Here's the key fact. The US dollar makes up nearly 58% of global currency reserves today. The euro is second, at around 20%. No other currency comes close. This means most countries, from Europe to Asia to Africa, still rely on the dollar for trade, debt payments, and stability. Even if countries like China and Russia push alternatives, the world still trusts the US dollar. So while the dollar may weaken, the chances of a total collapse are extremely low. What could actually happen in 2025? Instead of collapse, here are the more realistic scenarios experts predict. Moderate decline. The dollar could weaken if interest rates fall or if U.S. debt worries spook investors. Short-term strength. If global instability increases, the dollar could rise since people run to safety. Long-term slow shift. Over decades, the dollar may share its dominance with other currencies, like the Chinese yuan or digital currencies. But none of these mean the dollar disappears in 2025. How this impacts you. Now, let's make this practical. What does all this mean for your money? Investments. A weaker dollar often pushes U.S. stocks higher, especially companies that export globally, but it could also increase volatility. Housing and mortgages. If the dollar weakens and inflation rises, the Federal Reserve might delay cutting rates, which could keep mortgages more expensive. Everyday costs. A weaker dollar makes imports more expensive, meaning higher prices for fuel, electronics, and groceries. Retirement and savings. Inflation eats away at savings, so keeping all your money in cash is risky. Diversification is key. Practical steps to protect yourself. Here's what you can do right now. Diversify investments. Don't rely only on the US dollar or US stocks. Consider international funds or assets tied to other currencies. Inflation-protected assets. Gold, commodities, or inflation-protected bonds can act as a hedge. Stay invested. Long-term, Short-term headlines cause panic, but wealth is built by staying consistent. Emergency fund. Always keep 3 to 6 months of expenses in liquid cash, regardless of what the dollar does. Avoid over-leverage. High debt in uncertain times makes you vulnerable. Keep mortgages, credit card balances, and loans manageable. So, will the US dollar collapse in 2025? Probably not. But shifts in the dollar's strength will impact your savings, investments, and daily expenses. The smart move is not to panic, but to prepare. Diversify. Protect yourself from inflation and think long-term. Remember, wealth isn't about predicting the future perfectly. It's about being prepared no matter what happens. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to Asset Bloom for more finance insights, and share this with a friend who needs to hear the truth behind the headlines. Until next time, keep learning, keep investing, and keep blooming your assets.